I'm Wendy Kaysen, and this is my information speech. I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This is a famous quote made by Thomas Edison. This quote tells a lot about his personality, that he was strong-willed, that he was well-motivated, and that he set a lot of goals. And a lot of these goals we still benefit from today. The purpose of my speech is to bring to light the life of a man, a historical man, well-known, that we may have forgotten, but we still benefit from his life today. My knowledge of Mr. Thomas Edison was very vague. It was just what I remembered from high school, from my history classes. But by searching the internet, I was able to gain information. I found plenty of websites full of valid information, and I was able to increase my knowledge of this man, and as well as my appreciation for his life. Thomas Alva Edison, he is a well-known American inventor and scientist, world-known. He's said to have over 1,500 patents to his name, and which three that I want to talk about are the phonograph, the light bulb, and the kinetoscope. He was born February 11, 1847, to his parents Samuel and Nancy Edison. He was the last of 7 children, in which he did not start speaking until he was 4 years old. He was able to start attending school when he was 7, which didn't last long. He was pulled out by his mother. The professor said that he was addle-brained, that he couldn't focus, that he asked way too many questions, and basically in our day and time he would have been diagnosed with ADHD. So like I said, his mother ended up pulling him out and started homeschooling him until he was finished. And he makes the quote about his mother. He said, "My mother was the making of me. She was so true, so sure of me, and I felt I had something to look for, someone I must not disappoint," and he did not disappoint her. His first job was actually at the railroad. He sold candy and newspapers to employees of the railroad as well as passengers. He ended up losing his hearing around the age of 14 due to what they think is a combination of the fact that he came down with scarlet fever, as well as he had a heavy hit from an angry conductor at the railroad. They said he only had about 20% left in his right ear for hearing. Due to this, he ended up learning how to develop or work the Morse code in the telegraph. While he was doing so at the railroad, he noticed a 3-year-old child running around playing, and basically about ran out in front of the railroad, and he ended up pushing him out of the way. And the child's father saw this and was so grateful that he offered Thomas a job, which just happened to be in Boston and for Western Union. And of course he took the job, and he was excited because he ended up switching to night shift, and he was able to play around at night and educate himself, look at books, and learn new and better things. And one night he was actually playing with a battery, and the acid from the battery ended up leaking out of it and onto the floor and running through cracks, and just happened to land on the desk that belonged to his boss right below him. And needless to say, he was fired the next morning. His first invention actually was the automatic repeater, but he went on to develop the phonograph, which was basically something you could record on tinfoil. And the first recording that he did was "Mary Had a Little Lamb," and you can look it up on the internet and hear him reciting this. His second one that I want to talk about is the light bulb, and it actually wasn't truly his invention. He actually bought the patents from several other scientists and inventors that had been working on it, and basically perfected it. He added the filament to it, and instead of lasting only minutes, he was able to make it last over hundreds of hours and cut down on production costs of the light bulb, as well as as much electricity as it needed. That he was able to cut it down to a smaller amount. The third one I wanted to talk about was the kinetoscope, which is actually a motion picture camera through a peephole. He ended up later on being able to add the kinetophone to it, which he ended up hating. He said it spoiled everything, that instead of the actors focusing on their actions, that they focused on how they sounded and came across, and they think he was able to notice this more just because of the fact that he was deaf and he couldn't hear them, so he was able to see their actions changed, and he didn't like it so much. In his later years, he He, of course, grew older. Time caught up with him, and he became worn out, and he wanted to slow down and, so to speak, smell the flowers. He ended up spending more time at home with his wife, his second wife at the time. His first wife had died a few years back, and he actually ended up passing away on October 18th, 1931, at the age of 84. He was able to work at home before this, and he ended up dying of complications of diabetes. They say he went into a coma, and right before he passed, that he woke up and told his wife that it is very beautiful over there. Henry Ford, he actually believed that the soul exited itself on the last breath, on the body's last breath. So he took a test tube into Thomas Edison's room after he died and supposedly captured his last breath, and it's still on display at Henry Ford's Museum in Washington. Just to recap, Thomas Edison, he spent his entire life trying to achieve great things. They say if you aim for nothing, you'll definitely reach it. Well, Thomas Edison, he aimed for greatness and achieved it. He aimed for success and he reached it. He didn't believe in failure. He just believed that everything he did wrong was just one step closer to getting it right. The day that Thomas Edison died, the day that they laid his body to rest, the world paid its respects by turning off their electricity or lowering their lights for a period of time. And I also think it's neat. Our Puritan fathers, or founders of America, they dreamed of America being a shining city on a hill, and it was never more so true than with Thomas Edison.